Well, going to a doctor like this and getting periodic blood tests over time, I think that's an investment in your future. It's just like investing in a 401k or a profit sharing plan. You're investing in your longevity. What's more important to invest in? Your retirement plan or your longevity? Because you may not live long enough to be able to use your retirement plan if you don't pay attention to your health. My name is Samuel Oliva. I did the MDLifespan Cancer Protocol. I had always cared about my health, and so in my 50s, it's like I was starting to feel a bit less energetic, and so I felt that I should keep an eye on things and have a doctor that could do blood tests from time to time, and also recommend other doctors like heart specialists and urologists and different procedures that you need to pay attention to as you age. And over that course of time, he would do blood work, and one of the measurements was the PSA, which stands for prostate specific antigen. He noticed that my PSA was increasing over time. A normal reading is 4 or below, and over time mine had increased to between 7.5 and 8. So we were concerned about it, and he recommended that I see a urologist, and he also recommended that I get an MRI completed. And as it turned out, I had gotten to the point where I needed to do something about my prostate. Well, that was very concerning to me because I knew that I have relatives who have passed away as a result of prostate cancer. And so I was obviously concerned and felt that I needed to monitor that and pay attention to it and see a urologist and take it seriously. My doctor recommended that I go and see a urologist to get a second opinion, obviously, as to why I had that elevated level. And also, he recommended that I get an MRI so that the urologist could review the MRI and see if there was something that I needed to be concerned about. So when I went to the urologist, he gave me an advanced PSA test, and he called me back in after he reviewed the testing, and he felt concerned that there was some spots on my prostate that I needed to be concerned about. When my urologist recommended that I get either radiation or chemotherapy for my prostate, obviously that was really concerning to me. And so I started to research it myself and read articles about it, and what the outcomes were if you were to have your prostate removed or if you were to have the radiation or chemo. And I read an article that most people who do end up having prostate cancer end up passing away from something other than that. And so then I decided that I was going to hold off on the chemotherapy or the removal of my prostate or radiation, which was being recommended to me by this urologist. Once I researched it thoroughly and found that article, I shared it with my doctor at MDLifespan, and the two of us discussed it thoroughly, and he supported me on my decision, which was my decision to make, and he didn't disagree with what I had found and what I had researched, and so I decided to not get the chemo or the radiation or remove my prostate. Doctor recommends supplements and recommended certain therapies, and at that point, he recommended that for heavy metals that I consider a plasma exchange treatment, and I thought it was a good idea. And I do read a lot about heavy metals in the environment and in plastic and in various materials and things that we eat. And so I felt that it was definitely worth a try. And so I went through the treatment, which wasn't difficult. It went over a course of about, it seems like 3 to 5 months, and we finished it. And afterwards, MDLifespan did a reading before and a reading after for the heavy metals, and they had been reduced significantly. So although my PSA has decreased a bit, it hasn't decreased to the point that it's at the 4.0 level. But the results came back like very improved, which made me happy because I had made that decision to not follow the urologist's recommendations. And here I am, with a much better result. And they're not finding any change in my prostate or, like a growth of something that would have concerned, obviously, both the doctor at MDLifespan and also, I probably would have had to go back to the urologist, but I get this great news that doesn't look like there's been any change. In fact, it's actually gotten better. I feel great. I very rarely get sick from anything. So my immune system must be working well. And I have a decent amount of energy. When I work out, I can still do 10 or 15 chin-ups. I see it as an early detection system. If you're seeing your doctor regularly, I feel that a lot of people, once they hit 50 years old, many of them, they pass away from heart problems and strokes and all kinds of different things. So monitoring your well-being and your vitals and your doing your blood work, I think it's important once you get to that age. So, I continue to, I'd like to live as long as possible. So, hopefully I'll live until I'm 85 or 90 or 95. We'll see.